community needs, and we just bring something in and try different things every year to see what benefits everyone most.
Okay. I'll just talk a bit about the Kuching Youth Band Fiesta as well, because I think we're quite similar in that way. So we've only run Kuching Youth Band Fiesta for 1 year, last year, and it was a 4 days wind band educational program, basically, but we cater specifically to band students actually, and also we had people who's been taking private lessons outside coming to join us as well. But I think our aim, we probably have a different group of tutors coming in. So you have tutors coming, from Australia, maybe from I don't know, like from the NPO as well, right? So really professional ones. Whereas ours, we have more youth educators coming in, like maybe from Singapore, from the NPYO. Yeah, it's basically just to get band students and basically students all over Sarawak to come together and learn and to have a chance to meet each other as well. All right, what about the Sarawak Concert and Marching Band Festival, Mr. Wilson?
Okay, first of all, probably Sarawak Concert and Marching Band Festival is a bit too lengthy. We actually just call it SCMB.
There's a tongue twister.
It is, yeah.
Well, we started as a Kuching Concert Band Festival, KCBF, last year, and it was our first year running last year. So the idea behind this is to creating a network for all the bands coming together. Because as far as I remember, the last event that we had for bands all coming together was in 2009. So there was a gap of about 10 years where all these bands have not actually met one another. And it's a little bit sad for this current situation. So that's the whole idea about this Kuching Concert Band Festival. So we have our main few programs will be clinics and workshops. So we're getting in professionals or those who are experienced band educators who come in will give workshop to the band as a whole. So I do believe that there's the main difference between my event and the both of yours, where you go deep into probably sectionals and player by player. So mine is more like a band as a whole, and we also do some music exchange programs and as well as educated performance. So that's about my festival.
Okay. I mean, so we all have very interesting yet similar yet different events. So instead of us explaining, we have actually prepared a short video of snippets that we have collected over the years and throughout our events. So let's roll the video. All right, so most of our viewers probably has attended at least one of our events. So weren't those really great memories that you had during those times, and you look forward to having more, I'm sure, right? So back to our panelists, what is the one word that you can use to probably describe your event? Lindy, how about you want to start
Why
first?
am I always the person to
Because
start?
you're on top of the screen.
Well, this word I would like to use, whether or not everyone agrees would be a different story, but I would like the event to be thought-provoking. That's essentially it. So really, the whole event is designed so that it allows the participants to turn on the switch for active learning. That's sort of more important to us than them being able to play the flute like a ninja. So the learning process is what we're looking for throughout the whole event.
Okay, I'll give my word first. So the word that I chose is actually dynamic. I think it's quite interesting because we're called like the Kuching Youth Band Fiesta, right? So we're looking for a more positive, in terms of attitude and full of energy and hopefully new ideas as the event continues to evolve. And we try to see what's happening around, like probably like Miri Tutti as well, depending on the needs of the of the landscape, the community, and so we try to adapt accordingly, and hopefully making sure that it's impactful and exciting at the same time. Mr. Wilson, you have a special word for yours?
Oh yes, actually, I thought of it for a long time. I actually wanted to use the word postponed because of COVID-19, but and I think looking more towards the future. So what I really want to see is, so I think there is one point, that's one thing that I really would like to see for every band. So I'm using my event as a stepping stone, if you would, for them to really start and to really go and open their eyes and see, there are endless possibilities of what band can achieve. So growth. Don't stop growing.
All very interesting word choices. Okay, then, so let's probably start from the really beginning. Okay, let's turn it around now. So, Mr. Wilson, maybe we start with you first. When and why did you start your festival?
I can't give you an exact time because it has been on my mind for many years because I've been doing this for quite a while as well. I think many years ago I was thinking, the landscape of the band community or the band industry in Sarawak has changed so much, and a lot of bands are going stagnant or in a way completely stopped. I think it's really sad because why? Band is such a beautiful activity for kids in school. It's an opportunity for them to learn new skills, not pushing them away from things they shouldn't be doing, if you get what I mean, and learn something new. And it will help them further down their lives. So when the band event stopped after 2009, I do see a lot of bands are going downhill. Some remain stagnant, some got worse, and there are bands that actually stopped. So that's one thing that I feel is really sad because the students actually lost the opportunity to do something like this, which they won't be able to do. Most of them won't be able to do this anymore once they leave Form 5, and it's really sad. So I had conceived the idea of this project, and I started in actually 2016, 17. I was thinking about it, but I didn't really put it into action until late 2018 actually. So that's how I got the first one started in 2019. Yeah. So that is your when and the why.
Right, Linley, what about you then?
Oh.
Yours started way earlier, right?
The first Miri Tutti was in 2014. 2014 was 2013 June was the first time I went to MPYO. That was my June, or was it September? That was my first MPYO camp, and I was like, small fish from small pond go to the ocean and go like, oh my goodness, what is this? How come I've never, just nothing like this in my whole life until I was in Form 5, so that was quite old. And so that was 2013. 2014 I went overseas to Australia to study music, and then there was me again going like, oh my goodness, what is this? What do you mean these 5-year-old kids can learn from these concert pianists? That's like so unfair to us because we don't have that breadth of experience to pick from. So all I wanted to do was, just bring the whole ocean home and share with everyone. So 2014 first year, it started because start of 2014, when I was all enthusiastic, I wrote a proposal to MPO and said, look, I want to collaborate. What can we do? Is there anything we can do at all? And they replied back, oh, we can send 7 people or something like that to you. I was like, yeah, sure, because why not?
Yeah.
So we did that. I wouldn't say the first camp was us. It was an experience, but it wasn't the best experience from inexperience on my part and all sorts of different reasons. But we evolved after that. But that was the start of the project.
FYI, she was only 18 right, when you first started your first festival.
Yes, 热血澎湃，就天不怕地不怕，冲了。
Sorry, I can't translate that. My Mandarin isn't great for audiences who can't speak Mandarin. But all right, so let me maybe talk on behalf of the KYBF. I think it has got to do. Miri Tutti was sort of the inspiration for KYBF actually, because I think it was last year, because we were asking whether Miri Tutti was going to happen. Remember, so Linley and I actually had this chat because it used to happen in June. So I joined the Miri Tutti when I was in 2018, I think. And so I was helping out at Miri Tutti. And then we were waiting for the same thing to, the same camp to happen in 2019, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen then. So it was like in June, I think June, July. And then so I called up Linley. I think we started to have a chat, and like during our time when I was at Miri Tutti as well, I realized that you have a very different, I think, purpose. Like you said, it's about inspiring kids and providing them access to tutors that they don't have reach to in, say, Kuching or Sarawak, right? And so it's a lot about inspiring like a way of life through instruments in Miri Tutti camp, and that's all good. But then I feel like maybe on our side there's a lot of gaps that cannot be hasn't been filled through Miri Tutti camp as well. For example, like the fundamentals of maybe playing in a band, or like how to carry out effective sectionals, or like many other different things like the Kodai method, or like new ways of counting rhythm, right? So there's so many ways and so many access to information nowadays, but not everyone is able to reach out to those. So in the same way, we would like to bring more things and more variety as well. And so with that, we're just like, okay, we're just going to run a KYBF this year, since Miri Tutti wasn't going to happen. But then obviously things took for a better turn, and Miri Tutti did happen in the end. So so if anyone's wondering out there why Miri Tutti and KYBF happened at the same time, this is why. But join all 3 of our events because, like Mr. Wilson did say, it's sort of like a circular thing as well. All right. So now let's talk about the next question. How does your event resolve the issues currently faced by the music scene in Sarawak? Okay, so we talk about when and why we did it, and so what happens in your event that is actually solving the issues that you set out to solve, Mr. Wilson.
Okay, but probably I'll speak in the band context. I wouldn't be able to speak on the music scene as a whole, because music scene is really broad and consists of choir and stuff, which I don't think I can speak on their behalf. But I do realize that not one event can resolve everything. That's for sure. We can't have one event and just cover everything, because I think that will take months.
A
lifetime probably.
Probably. So I think ultimately it's every event trying to achieve their own objective. So my objective from year to year will change, because is ever growing. It's a growth, like I mentioned. So even not the band is growing, but your event has got to grow. So if it doesn't grow, it will be out of purpose, because maybe the community or society has reached a certain level, but you no longer can bring them forward. But let's just talk about last year, where it's my first year, our first event. My ultimate objective was just to bring people together. That's all. That's the main objective. I mean, I'm pretty happy that how it turned out. of course, like Linley said, even for her first edition of her Miri Tutti, things can be better. It is always can be better.
Yeah.
So I realized the main thing that's missing for bands community in Sarawak is the network.
Yeah.
I remember my time. This made me sound a little old as well, but I've been around for 20 years doing this thing. Yeah, but during my time, I was very lucky because the state government sponsored competitions every year. So we traveled to every city, Siew, Bintulu, Miri, for competitions every year. So that's when we start getting to know people from other bands. We forged friendships that last for years. Some even last 20 years. One of them was on your episode a couple episodes ago. Yeah. So that's the beautiful thing about a band stuff. So that is one thing that I feel is sorely missing. So my whole idea about KCBF for the first year is just to bring them together. And a little bit of educational opportunities, having some small workshops, feedback for their performances, by our educators, so that in a way they can build. Okay, no, this is what we get. These are the comments by those experienced educators. How to move on? How to grow from here? So at least there's some educational values every time they come. That is also very important, in my opinion. Yeah. So if you talk about resolving issues, there are much more. There's so many more. But to start the networking is a first step. Did I manage to network everyone? No, that's for sure. I mean, I have lots of missing bands. Miri, none from Miri came. Yeah. None from answer this in another question that you have maybe, but it's a very different long story. But for last year, we managed to do the networking. That's the most important thing.
Okay. I probably want to build on Mr. Wilson, because I think we have common goal, the common goal of bringing people together as well. And then at the same time, because you already have an adjudicated performance happening, right? So we thought that's happening in June. What about in December, where there's another long break? What are people going to do? They're all going on holiday, and then there's no band activities. Then they have to wait another year again for something else to happen, right? So having that idea in mind, we decided to maybe have an event where, in the same way, we can bring people together, but also and to expand on the educational side as well, because in an educated performance kind of event, right, you don't really get to learn as much in terms of like individual and sectional maybe, and so we try to fill the gaps with that. And then hopefully preparing them for the next year's SEMBF as well. And then also there's one thing that I think we took from Miri Tutti, which is there may be a gap in terms of learning, but so we try to bring in more youth educators, in the sense that they're more I think more approachable for students as well. I'm sure that all the really professional ones that Miri Tutti bring in provide a whole new perspective as to how music can be. But then I don't think we're there yet. But then there's also always Miri Tutti to fill in that gap as well. So we want to be like in the middle between both events, and so having youth educators coming in will allow them to be more inspired and say, oh, it's a closer goal for me to reach. I can be that one day. Yeah. So that's one of our ideas that we decided. That's why we decided to do KYBF. Yeah. So I think we're all resolving different issues. Linley, what about you? What about Miri Tutti?
I'm going to give you a completely abstract artistic. It's so what I think. Like Mr. Wilson said, there's so many different issues that you can address, but the big thing for me was just the opportunity to exchange, have a musical exchange with someone else within the community, within different bands, like you said, even within Miri, not even talking about between Miri and Kuching, even between Miri itself, we don't have enough exchange happening as a cell, as a city. So, but the kind of exchange that I wanted to be able to sort of provide for the local community was an exchange to see how music learning and music making happens in other places. Because, like, I personally felt when I was learning music, when I was learning music in high school, I was very focused on, being able to do that, play it, obtain the skills really, really well. But when I study abroad, I felt there was a lot more appreciation going on. The music it's really a way of life. It's so different. It's you're living all the music that you're making. The approach you take in making the music is completely different from whatever I was doing before. And I thought, again, it was like, whoa, it's sort of a cultural shock. So I thought it would be very interesting to bring this experience to people around me as well. Whatever you take out of it is up to you, but here's a very different cultural experience. Here's how professional musicians who make money doing music their whole life, here's how they approach music, here's how they live music, here's how they make it. And what you take from it is up to you, but here's the experience of it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, so there you go. That explains the differences between all three of our events. So we're all quite actually not very. We're quite different, but it's obviously we overlap in certain areas, like bringing people together. But yeah, you should experience all to get the full experience. All right. So
I really enjoy having all these different people putting in all our different perspectives into it. That's what makes the ecosystem really rich.
Exactly,
and that's what makes it really that's what's going to make it thrive. Instead of having one person do everything, everyone does a little bit. It makes the ecosystem really rich and really enjoyable to watch.
Exactly.
Actually,
because music is art anyway, and there's no one way that fits all. It's really about learning and experiencing it through your own means. Right? Okay, so now let's move on to the next segment. We have a game prepared for the group here today. So okay, you know what? Let's see how it goes. So we have let's roll the transition for the game called Alphabet Conversation.
Let me know when it's time for me to speak.
Now.
Okay, so now we're going to play a game called Alphabet Conversations. So the game goes like this. I will give you a scenario and each of you will be assigned a role. So the rule of this game is very simple. You have to take turn to exchange dialogue according to the order of the alphabet. So for example, I start with apple is sweet. Then the next person have to start their sentences with the next letter, which is B. So if you cannot come up with a sentence within 5 seconds, you lose. So is that clear?
Yeah. Let's do
how
that.
many lives do I have?
So I'm going to give you the scenario now. Okay. So grandma and grandson got stuck in an elevator together with a stranger. So I'm going to assign your roles. Linley is the grandma, Jesmond is the grandson, and Mr. Wilson is the stranger.
We're stuck in a where? Sorry.
Stuck in an elevator.
Okay.
Okay, so Jesmond, you can begin first.
I start
Who's
first.
up? Okay, who's up to Jesmond?
Okay.
And
so
then
who's after
Linley,
me?
and then you.
Okay.
Okay. Alright, so here it goes.
Yes.
Ama. That's A, right? Ama. Ama,
Yes.
how are we are stuck in elevator now?
Boy, I don't know. I'm so old. How you ask me?
Hey, no, she has to start with B, right? Is that how it goes?
Yeah, you started with A.
Boy,
Is that a boy? A boy is A.
I said boy.
Oh, okay, let's start again. Okay. Ama, we're stuck in the elevator, how
Boy, how can you ask me? I'm so old.
Chin chai lah, stuck lah.
Didn't you call the person who can, let us out of here?
Well, what about that red button on the wall there?
Fireman coming. Just wait.
Gourmet, why I never hear any sound one?
Yeah, how do you know he's coming?
I know, because I know.
Keep quiet, let's try to listen. Is there any sound?
Wait.
Wait. After I is J.
I know.
Oh, okay, then I out. Okay, so then who continue? After me, so.
Oh, sorry. So where
Linley.
am I continue from?
Oh, so I'm out already. So then you have to continue from J.
Oh, I have to continue from J.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Just
I
kidding.
got 3, 2, 1. Yes, I win.
What is that? It? Is that it?
I'm trying to think of a word starting from J. All I can think is jelly.
Jelly. Oh no! Do you want to give scenario 2 a try? Are we able to do scenario 2? James? All right, let's try scenario 2.
Okay, yes, we can. Okay, so three of you are auditioning for a member position for an orchestra. So ignore your instrumentations. And you meet each other in the waiting room. So in this scenario, you will be yourself. So we follow the same order. Jesmond, you may begin.
I forgot to bring my instrument.
Well, why are you so dumb? Are you sure you're here for the audition?
Cancel your audition. You ask for another audition again.
Die lah. I need to call my mom. Wait
Oh, how old are you? Still call your mom?
Find a replacement instrument. Go.
God, man, I cannot find. I went through the whole place already. You cannot find it.
How can you go through the whole place when this is the first time you got here?
Hey, is this your instrument?
Oh, you have to start with I. Not
Yeah,
A.
you have to start with I.
Is this your instrument? I, right?
Oh no, you said A.
Hey.
You said A.
Oh,
This is your instrument. Yeah.
Even accidental exclamations like that cannot, huh?
Cannot. That's the difficult thing about this game. Yeah. So then, who starts with
Jesmond.
Okay, so I'll start first. I ran through the whole place already. I really cannot find. I even went to the toilet to search.
Joking, eh? What are you gonna do now?
Kidding me. Impossible I keep right, this kind of thing.
Later when it's your turn, then I don't know, are you going to sing?
Me? Still can't find I think I put in my storeroom.
No worries. You know what? I will borrow you my instrument.
Orange in color, I shall not take that instrument.
Nice.
Put it down. I will give you another one.
Queue up over here, please. The time is almost up.
What? Sorry. Oh, sorry, I accidentally said the wrong word. Does that count? Does it not count?
James? Yay!
Oh,
That was a flop. Okay, that was fun. All right, so now let's go back to the resume the conversations that we were having just now. So previously we were talking about how our event actually resolved the issues currently faced, right? So then I think a lot of people actually don't know what goes on behind the scenes. It's actually very difficult to organize a festival like that. It probably takes months. It takes more than just us who are representing our festivals over here. It takes a team. So let's start with Linley again. Maybe you want to share a bit about the challenges faced when you're hosting these kind of events.
I think there's of course lots of different challenges, but the single biggest challenge for us all the time that kept us up through midnight is simply answering the question, what kind of experience can we provide in 5 days that can catapult the participants' learning for the months to come? What can we do that would make it meaningful? So every year before we start the program, we sit down and we ask, what kind of learning experience do the community need? What kind of activities can we make that can create these kind of light bulb moments in the learning? And that's the biggest part of our planning and our hugest challenge. It's particularly big for me as well because I am not involved in the local music scene as much. I live fully overseas. I'm absorbing all the essence out of all these places here and stealing all the knowledge. So I sometimes feel a bit detached as to what's growing and what's happening locally. So there's so much conversations to have and questions to ask, and that's sort of the hardest bit.
I think we can all agree with that as well, because conceptualizing, a festival from the start is understanding why we're doing it, right? But I'm sure there are other things, and I'm sure that three of us can agree on is actually how much it's gonna cost. So the finance side of things, okay. So our events are not cheap, okay, but that it comes with a reason. So running a camp for 4 to 5 days, and especially with Linley and I'm sure Mr. Wilson as well, inviting like guest educators and tutors all the way from overseas, and having to pay for their accommodation, teaching fees, and all these things, right? It costs a bomb. And that's not just it. You have to pay for venue sometimes, and you have to find for all these, create a program, pay for marketing where it has to be done, and also geographical restrictions. I'm sure like our camps, our festivals have like people coming in from Miri, like for the ones in Kuching. Yes, Linley.
I randomly add, you have no idea how difficult it is to book a flight from wherever flying to Miri. I'm like, oh my goodness, it is so hard just to get the times of 2 airlines to match or anything. Man, Miri is
Yeah.
never really thought how isolated Miri is until I have to book a flight.
That's true. I mean, Kuching's not that bad. But you know what? As in, just building on that as well. When our events are, they usually are in June and December. That's the holiday period, and that's where prices of flight tickets and accommodation spike up as well. So that's an additional fee that we have to cover for. And it's like near Christmas, or whether it's not near Christmas, it's where everyone's just trying to book out venues as well. I don't know, yeah, but for like concerts and everything, performances, they're all happening at the same time. So it's this kind of difficulty that we have to try, if possible, plan way ahead, and then all the logistics behind emailing people, waiting for them to reply, and then what if someone says no, and then you have to find someone else to replace. It's just so many things that goes on behind the scenes that a lot of people probably wouldn't know. Mr. Wilson, would you like to add on? Further? I'm sure there's a lot on your side as well.
I'm pretty surprised that both of you didn't bring this up. Venue.
Oh yeah. Finding a venue.
I mean, we don't have a concert hall at all in the whole of Sarawak.
Yeah.
We don't have a decent hall for music, for ensembles, for orchestras, for bands. So it's really sad, but there's nothing much we can do about it because we can't build one.
Exactly. Not yet.
I mean, as in us.
Oh, we can't build. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So, my biggest challenge actually is venue, because that is my biggest challenge last year. Reason being, a little backstory is about, I think Jesmond knows about it. I think 1 to 2 months before my festival, my venue cancelled my reservation. You know about that, right, Jesmond?
Yeah, I think I've heard of it.
Yeah. I actually got a pretty decent hall with a decent sized stage, which I think is good for everyone. Is a decent place as well, good for a festival. And I can see that the venue has a proper place for warm-ups, for everything. But they cancelled me last minute. I'm not gonna go too much into that story because it could be a little bit sensitive, the reason why. But venue is one big issue. Even when I was thinking this year, where should I do it? I still had to think for months, scout for many places. Of course, apart from venue, another challenge is, I'm pretty sure probably you have some experience in this, is getting the right people to come in. And being the educator, being the clinician, doing the workshops. Yeah, that's also one challenge there. Because you want to make sure the right people, and then the ones who can really click with the students here, it's difficult.
Yeah. I mean, that's really true, because it depends on, it goes back to the purpose as to why you're running your festival this year as well, and then finding the right people to put into that. And then what if your first choice say, sorry, I can't make it this year, and then you have to oh no, and then you feel sad and then start again and find someone else to replace. But then it's just a whole lot of things going behind, and I'm sure there's a lot of long nights of preparation, long meetings, and just never-ending design work. I don't know whether you guys make your own designs, but it's just another headache to take care of, I think. But for us, I think that's the case. There's one thing that I think we sort of kind of touched on as well, is actually talking about sustainability and also quantifying learning outcomes. I think a lot of people actually ask, oh, what can I gain from this? And then when you give them an answer, as of all educational courses, they tell you, oh, this is what you will learn. And then they'll be like, okay, so how can I, what is it to me? What does it matter to me? It's not like I can get 98 marks for my academic results and stuff. So this kind of thing, it all goes back to the appreciation and value that I think people don't really have yet. So if now you have a different camp or like a concert, people are so willing to just pay, $200 for a concert that's like a pop concert maybe. But to attend a 4 to 5 days worth of camp, and then you get so much out of it in terms of, the value that we're talking about. Not everyone's willing to pay for that. And I think that is a problem that we're trying to, we face as well, right? What about
Jesmond, kids nowadays,
Mm.
they are willing to pay 20 ringgit for a cup of boba.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but they are not willing to put the 20 ringgit into education.
Mm.
I mean, I think it's just not banned, but it's across the board for everything. I can't say much about this, but this is what I experienced as well. The only way is just keep promoting, do what we need to do, telling them what we are trying to achieve, trying to get them on board. I think that's ultimately what we can do. We can't force them as well, but
Exactly.
that's the way it is right now with kids. I mean, you know, they can spend 100 ringgit a day going out with friends, but
Yeah.
they will not spend that 100 ringgit, save that 100 ringgit so that they can attend something that probably will make them better. Some do,
Mm-mm.
some do not.
Of course, yeah. You're right. I think I agree with that viewpoint. What about you, Lindy? Is it the same? Okay, maybe. What about you? Want to talk about maybe your experience in Brisbane? How is it the same there, or like how are festivals there as compared to here? Like, are people more appreciative of the things done in festivals?
I think in relation to the question you're asking, we have to ask like a much more fundamental question, and that is where does all this music learning sit within our culture? Because as a culture, we prize tuition a lot. It's very important that you go for tuition. You prize academic exams a lot. So where does music sit in relation to these? Because when you talk about spending $20 on a cup of boba and things like that with friends, it's sort of the stress reliever for all the important things that our culture values. So that sort of has to come with each other. And then where does music sit with all this? In Brisbane, the appreciation of music and the appreciation of the value of music of music education is definitely much more than Malaysia.
Yeah.
Purely because Australia is a much more advanced nation. That's it. So they're at a place where they don't have to worry that much about fundamentals like having enough income, food, or everything. So it's a more advanced country. So everyone has the appreciation of culture. The Maslow hierarchy of needs. They're at the top a little bit more than we in Malaysia. So a lot of times when I discuss the music Miri Tutti with my colleagues, we always ask what's the whole point of all this? Like, if you get really, really good at your instrument, then what?
Yeah.
What's the really important part of all this? So I think that's a lot of questions that's one of the big questions that I always wonder in terms of Malaysia, because we have to understand classical Western music is not our culture. It's a great art. It's amazing things, but it's not our culture. So why are we just worshipping sort of like someone else's culture and just adopting it as our own, saying, "Oh, this is amazing. We have to do it this." But it's not even our own culture. What about our own culture, like our Aboriginal arts and dances? What about that? So in relation to the big picture, sometimes I can't say we must spend on music. It's a great thing to have when done properly, but we have to look at the big picture a lot of times, especially for our own situation. I can't copy and paste something from Australia and put it in Malaysia because it's just so different.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, like you say, we're probably not there yet. And that's why, like what Mr. Wilson said, we have to just keep doing the things that we're doing and constantly grow. I mean, maybe, when you started in 2014, there was only Miri Tutti back then, right, in Sarawak. And now that there are 3 festivals, so hopefully more is going to come, and, we can help to grow the community as well. Okay. Right. So I think Lily sort of touched on this question a bit. Were there times that you actually felt lost and had to revisit what you were doing? So, Lily, I mean, you're talking about it just now, right? Like asking all the big questions. Yeah. So
every year, the first message I message my dear colleague is, are we doing Miri Tutti this year? And then we'll be like, why are we doing it? What are we doing it for? Like, at times when you ask me, oh, what's the goal and objective of Miri Tutti, and I have to really think hard, because actually it's for the love of music and music learning. But what exactly is the objective? What exactly do we want to do in that 5 days? It's very hard to quantify, make specific. But we do that every year by asking what has the band been up to, what do they need, and a lot of things. And to be honest, the more that I've learned now that I'm exposed a lot to the music scenes around here, and I see that a lot of the core issues that are prohibiting us from growing as we could is sort of much bigger than what I would be able to address through Miri Tutti. Like when Mr. Wilson, when you said they had state funded competitions every year. Like when you said that no one from Miri came to Kuching. It's a financial problem. There's no sustainable funding for these things. So there's so many big problems that, which one can we do? Can we reasonably tackle effectively in 5 days? That's always our mind-boggling question every year.
Yeah, I mean, same as well, but it's because you probably run it for a few years, but like, even this year before COVID hit, we were thinking, like, are we going to do KYBF this year again? Obviously, there's a question of like, how are we going to be, like, provide a different, so that because Miri Tutti and KYBF usually happen, last year it happened quite close with each other, right? So we're trying to do something that's different, and obviously we'll be reaching out to you if there was one to like talk about, how we can proceed with it. But yeah, as in, what about you, Mr. Tan? For this year, I know your event was about to happen, so you probably
it was supposed to happen 2 weeks ago. Yeah, but I mean, to answer your question, to me, sounds like the same for the both of you. Not really felt lost, but it's just about refining it year to year. Yeah, still making it relevant and making sure that people come in, they get what they need. Sometimes the thing with kids is they do not know what they want.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So on our side, well, pretty much sometimes assuming things are this way, but that's the most we can do after we analyze, because sometimes the kids themselves do not know what they need. Yeah, so refining things, making things better, I think that will be more important. Like, for example, last year, I think Jesmond will know, because you guys were around, we only had concert bands. That's it. And that's it. For 2 days, it's just concert bands. Well, so this year we wanted to do something more and include more people. So it is also letting the concert people know more about the marching stuff, and the marching people know more about the concert stuff, because it's essentially the same thing. So we also added in performance showcase this year. That's to focus on individual and ensemble categories as well. We just want them to play more and perform more. And that's the thing. This year, my idea is for them to take the first step. If they really want to move on, they really want to grow, they got to take the first step. Especially when I think coming to individual performances, solos, I think kids in school like, nah. When I first talked to my students, all of them,
Yep.
I told them it's fine if you don't play well. It has to be the first step. So from there we can do something. So that is refining stuff, adding things in, how to make things more inclusive for everyone. So I think, same thing for whatever I hear from Linley, from you, Jesmond, same thing. We're just refining, and it comes year to year. Because right now, whatever we think that the problem is, or whatever issue it is, it could be completely different next year. It could be a completely new situation. Boom, COVID-19.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes,
Can I add? I actually think it's good that it's completely different next year, because that means you actually did your job. You solved the problem. So next year should be different.
Yeah, but not the COVID-19 though.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a very good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, I mean, I think essentially we are all still learning on the job. There's no one to guide us what to do. There's no one person behind her. Hey, Linley, you should be doing this. Jesmond, you should be doing this. Hey, Wilson, you should be doing. No, we are just doing, and from what we experience, from what we see, we are trying to help.
Yeah.
That's what essentially what we are doing. So essentially, we just need to try to refine every year and move along with the trend, and hopefully, really, what we can do is really helping.
For sure. I think even if 20 years we come back and have this sort of discussion again, everyone will have the same answer that, we're still adapting, we're still learning every year because every year is going to be different.
That's music. That's art.
That's true.
I mean, it's not 1 + 1 = 2, which is fixed for thousands of years. This is art, this is music. It's forever evolving and it's forever moving. So that's why we got to move too.
Really good point. I mean, okay, you know what? Let's just talk about this then. So we've all talked about COVID-19, right? And basically, because we're changing every year. So how has COVID-19 actually changed, affected your projects for this year? So, okay, Mr. Tan, maybe you want to start first because your event was supposed to happen 2 weeks ago.
Postponed again.
Postponed.
But I mean, on a serious note, but I have no idea what's gonna happen. Is it really postponed? But looks more likely cancelled. Because I think students' health and safety comes first. Because if we keep pushing this, there's only few scenarios. First, you got no one turn up. Second, you get people come, and if anything happens, this is the end of everything. So it's very tricky. So it's better for us to consider, let's look forward into the future. So don't be just because we need to do this, but we should do right now is just to make sure the kids are safe. We try to continue with, according to Linley's, Australia is open up and you guys can continue face-to-face rehearsals, whatever. We are still online and it's really painful. Let me tell you that it's really painful. I think you know that too. I mean, when you do Skype lessons, when you do Zoom lessons, you can't hear their tone. Everything is so difficult. But we just push on. I mean, that's one of the value ones. The beautiful thing about music is Beethoven was showing this to our kids as well. It's something that they will learn, and we through us as an example. So obviously, COVID-19 can, I think not just me, but everyone's plans are, he put his hands in our plans as well. So, but we did try to do a couple of things. I mean, Jesmond would know. Through my festival, we did the virtual band concert. Virtual band concert where I get quite a number of bands to submit their videos from past years. I compiled them and do an online screening. There were like a couple hundreds of students. That's the most I saw. A couple hundred of students watching online at the same time. I mean, just to keep interest up. But the thing is, I wanted to do a second virtual band concert. They've run out of videos. Not the video like from 5-6 years ago, which many of them are actually not in the band. So probably the feeling will be different anyway. Another one is one of the thing I did is the band lepak session, which I try to get people to submit their questions and if they have problems. And so I directly ask our guests, I've got questions from the people in Sarawak, band students or instructors with this. So maybe can you give some tips to help? I mean, that is quite general because, sometimes issues are very specific and we cannot address wholly. But still, we just try, do our best, do whatever we can. And most important is keeping their spirits up. And when everything is back in order, they are back to the band.
I think it's the same for us as well. Like, if without COVID-19 we wouldn't be doing this. We wouldn't even, three of us wouldn't have met up and been chatting. And I think we've been doing a lot more like Sarawak Concert and Marching Band Festival as well, doing a lot more virtual stuff, and we get to meet more people virtually because everyone's time, they're more like freed up right now because they have nothing else to do, but like they don't have their usual schedule in place where they have to travel and everything. And so we get to meet a lot of people. And to answer the question for KYVF, then it's the same. I think it's the same as SENBF as well. As in, we're I wouldn't say it's cancelled completely, but we take it one step at a time and see how the situation goes. Because who knows, in December suddenly everything is back to normal. We never know. But but it isn't as, we're not very positive about the situation currently. So
maybe just a short reminder. You do know that December is schooling time, right, this year?
Oh, yeah, see, that's another problem. So
Yeah, for Linley, who looks like she has no idea what's going on. The school has, the MOE has decided to extend the schooling time, which means they do not get the holiday break usually from mid or end November. I think they go all the way to the second or the third week of December and off 1 or 2 weeks for Christmas and January new schooling year. They decided to extend the school days and cut short the school holidays.
And SPM will be on next year. Like this year's SPM is in January next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's my exact reaction when I was like, what? Yeah. Oh man, so everything is out of the window. I actually did think about SCMBF probably in December. Some other school teachers were talking about to me, but they reminded me that probably the school will extend the schooling days, and it did happen. So that's why I say probably SCMBF is really out this year, and we'll probably just do it 2021.
So now, Linley, the baton is passed to you. What about Miri Tutti project?
It's most likely not going to go ahead for logistical reasons, like obviously for the safety and health considerations of everyone. But on a more spiritual level, here I go again. More spiritual level, throughout the whole COVID-19 crisis, you could call it a crisis because there's a lot of economic impacts, a lot of families are struggling with income. There's so much stress happening. Like, it really puts into perspective. So where does music really sit for the students or for the families or for the musicians at a personal level, at the community, at a social cultural level? Where does it really sit? How important is it really to insist that they learn music? So I have continued online lessons and then continued on to in-person lessons once Australia opened up with all my kids, and I can tell you it's very important for all my students to have to continue their lessons because they get so much engagement, so much thinking, so much. It's the one-to-one personal attention where I can really tailor all the learning to their specific needs, and that's so important for every kid. But we're talking about families where they're not impacted financially, so they are able to afford this comfort cushion for the kids where they just bubble up the kids learning from the crisis happening. Of course, the kids are aware, but then they don't have to experience as much stress as what someone else in Malaysia perhaps would have had. So it really to think, where do you place music? What's the role? What's the essential value of it? And how do you teach it so that it's relevant? It's not something that's in a bubble. It's relevant to their life that they will continue to use going on. So spiritually speaking, that's how it has impacted my thinking for music. But practically speaking, it's the same as everyone. It's definitely health and safety concerns first.
For sure, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. We have a realist in the house. No, just kidding. But yeah, I mean, all really good input from the panel. But that's all the time that we have for our discussion segment. So now we move to the infamous yes or no game, where usually when we have more than one person on the show, we will play this game. And today I will be playing this game with you. All right. So let's roll the transition.
Yep.
Okay. So, as you know how the game runs, usually you just have a piece of paper that says yes or no. Oh, sorry. Yes or no. There you go. Yeah, can you show it to me?
Mine's really cute.
Oh! Was that a cat?
Yeah.
What about all the yes part? Yeah. Okay. All right. So James here, because I haven't seen the questions yet, all right? So just to be fair, James will be the one giving the questions and basically asking as many questions as he can within a 90-second period. So, okay, we're not, we don't work together as a team, so the panelists, so we don't know each other as well as the other panelists that we have previously. So let's just try our best to see whether we can get a higher score than them. All right, so any questions from the Mr. Wilson and Linley? Yes.
What happens if we win? You stop us?
And then you'll be on the leaderboard for the next one to take you. Let's try it. All right. Okay. So whenever you're ready, James.
All right. So are we all ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll start in 3, 2, 1. Is a soprano trombone just a trumpet with a slide? Okay. Can you actually use the double bass as a coffin? Can you cry underwater? Okay. Are marimbas just oversized xylophones? Okay. Is cereal a soup? Okay. If you're at a restaurant and your waiter doesn't come back, so are you the waiter now? Okay. Is it still good luck if you found a 4-leaf clover under a ladder?
I don't understand that, but I guess yes.
I don't.
Can you call an outdoor horn a tenor horn even though it is an outdoor voice?
What's it all bad questions? I'm not a bad person.
I don't know.
Okay, can you read a picture book? Nice. Are wood blocks that are made of plastic still considered wood blocks?
Oh shit!
Nice. Does a baby feel the umbilical cord being cut off?
But that's a difficult question.
I don't
This one
know.
is funny. If you pamper a cow, do you get spoiled milk? Okay. Are pianos still percussion instruments even though they are taught separately? Okay, last question. Straws have 1 hole, not 2 holes. Do you agree? Nice.
What's
I
our
actually don't
score?
understand some of the question though.
We've got 9. Also, we were on top with the rest. So the highest was 9, and we've got 9. Perfect.
Suffer.
I didn't understand some of it actually. I was like, okay, whatever.
It's all bad questions,
It
man.
a
took
difficult
me
one.
a while to process. I do not know why.
I mean, but it was a really funny session. Okay, so to end the session, we always ask our panelists to say to give something inspirational or advice back to our audience. So maybe Linley, you want to start first?
I'm going to continue on my. I haven't thought about this. I'm going to continue on my spiritual trend. I'm going to ask them
Sure.
look inwards and then outwards.
Teamology. Do you want to explain a bit as to why?
A lot of times when I was studying in Malaysia, there's a lot of external influences, external expectations. That's the word. You're expected to be good at school. You're expected to be good at this and that. You're not expected to join band because you're supposed to study, things like that. So I think as culturally, that's what we're used to. People putting expectations on us. But I feel like a lot of times, instead of looking out for what looking at method books for what would help us if you talk about music, you should examine yourself first. Just see what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses. Do you really understand what you want, where you are at, what do you need? Then you look externally for for things to supplement or make you stronger. It applies at every level. If you're talking about music or studying or life or I don't know, religion, your faith. There's just so many things to, it applies. So just look inwards first, and then you can find all the answers externally.
I'm just gonna build on that. So like after looking inwards and knowing what you want, I'll probably say stick to what you believe in, what is you, and go forward and make mistakes, because that's where you will actually learn the most. I think as our team, we've been knocking into walls a lot of the times, and just trying to find solutions, because obviously there's no answer to any of these, and you can look at other countries as case studies, but they never provide you with a solution that you can fully adapt to the situation that we're currently in. And so I think we're sort of like the front runners again, as in ignoring whatever has happened in the past, because we're now building up a community again, and so we're knocking into different walls with different generations and different mindsets all over the place. So I think just make mistakes. I think you learn from there, and otherwise nobody's gonna hold your hand and just say it's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Nah, Right, I guess it's part of adulting as well. Yeah, Mr. Wilson, yes, the most experienced one, I think. Yeah.
Now you're putting pressure on me.
You need to top all of our quotes.
No. I mean, I probably would just keep it simple. Doing the right things even when no one is watching. A lot of times kids nowadays, they feel like, okay, no one's watching, I'll just take it easy. So there's one thing that I hope that kids would change. Like, I also agree on what Jesmond says, making mistakes. One thing I always tell my kids, because I don't get me started, because I can give like half-hour talk on this, because I can talk non-stop if you know me well. Yeah, making mistakes, make a loud mistake.
Make a loud mistake.
If you're gonna make a mistake, make a loud mistake. Right or not? Yeah, just go make a loud mistake. Then you know the problem. That's how we go on from there. I mean, there are some people, okay, they know they're making mistakes, but it's okay. No one knows. It's fine. I'll just keep it to myself. Nobody will know. So, just something along that way.
Fair point. I mean, so that's our advice from the panelists here today. We hope that helped anyone out there who's actually inspiring to be maybe a band director, a music educator, or just want to be involved in the music scene. Definitely, if you really need help, you can probably come to find us as well. I'm sure we're all willing to lend you a hand if you need any help with that. So, all right, make sure you follow, as always, our social media links, as well as the panelists over here as well, Miri Tutti Project and Sarawak Concert Marching Band Festival, as well as the Kuching Youth Band Fiesta. So the links are all right down below. Okay, so to bring you more inspiring things next week, it's good news to all percussionist enthusiasts and also just musicians in general. We will have Adam Tan from the studio on with us next week. So if you don't know who he is, we have a short video for you. So let's watch it now.
Next week on INSIDE'S Spotlight.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of. Welcome to another episode of. Welcome to another episode of. This studio. This studio.
Director, percussionist and educator, composer, Adam Tan.
Yep, so you're right. We have another festival director with us next week, Adam Tan from the studio. So make sure you tune in 8:30 p.m. next week. All right. So with that, I'm Jesmond Siew, and we have Linley and Mr. Wilson Tan from Miri Tutti Project, as well as the SDNBF. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Have a good night.
Thank you.